I'm Enrique Latoison, and this video is brought to you by Commentary Creations, your 3-minute lawyer. This is our first of many, our current news edition, and what we're talking about today is Elizabeth Holmes. Now, everyone knows about this case. There's actually been a lot of good movies. I actually watched a couple of them. They were pretty interesting. And I actually think there's actually a mini-series going on right now about this too. And this is Theranos, Elizabeth Holmes, the next Steve Jobs, the black turtleneck. Everyone knows who we're referring to here. So what is this case about? So in a nutshell, about when she was 19 years old, she dropped out of college and eventually she went on to start her own company, Theranos. And up until that point, in order for a person to get blood test results and to figure out, what's going on medically, you had to use a vial of blood and it had to be sent off to a lab and many tests had to be done. Well, here comes Elizabeth Holmes and her company, and she sets a new precedent with this machine called the Edison Machine. And she says 1 drop of blood. Put the 1 drop of blood, put it in the machine, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. Sometimes when things are too good to be true, sometimes they're not true. So in this particular case, this machine actually never worked. And when this machine was not working, Ms. Holmes, who was the CEO of Theranos, actually went around getting money together and raising funds up to almost $1 billion, only for this to turn out to be a fraud. And what ended up happening was she ended up going to trial eventually. And during that trial went on for about a month, and there were plenty of witnesses to testify. Ms. Holmes tried to distance herself from actually knowing what was taking place in her company. Unfortunately, her words came back to haunt her. Some of the interviews that she did and all the things that she did to raise that money, she had to keep that fraud going by telling people that this machine actually worked. Interesting thing is, when people came out to test the machine, they actually took that blood and sent it out to another lab, and they actually did all the reports. So she was found guilty. And just last week, she was sentenced. She was sentenced to 11 years and 3 months. One of the questions that was asked upon me was, what about parole? Does she get parole? Actually, the federal system does not have a parole. You can actually have to serve up to 85% of your sentence for good behavior. In her particular case, when you do the math, 11 years, 3 months, it works out to be a little over 9 years with good behavior. Now, the judge in that case did ask for her to be sent to a minimum security type place. She's currently pregnant and just have a baby. And in that case, it would not be like kind of a maximum place for dangerous criminals, but it still is jail, and jail is jail. So at the end of this, what do we learn from this? Just like Bernie Madoff, some of these frauds are just too good to be true, and when it seems too good to be true, it usually is not. And these individuals end up being convicted, in her particular case, facing 9 years, 3 months with good behavior, in a case where she's actually pregnant and has a child on the way. Now her co-defendant, he's also been convicted, and they're waiting on the sentencing of him. Enrique Latoison, sponsored by Commentary Creations, your 3-minute lawyer. Thank you.